Good morning, everybody, and greetings from Linares, Chile. It's a beautiful, gorgeous morning here in Chile. A little on the cooler side, but you can't beat it. Today, I'm going to do a video about the cultural differences that I've been experiencing while I've been down here in Chile. So, let's go. Well, given that I am currently walking home from the office to go get lunch, I guess this would be a fitting time to talk about meals here in Chile. In Chile, meals are different than in the United States for a lot of different reasons. First of all, meal times are way later than in the United States. Maybe not way later, but breakfast is usually about 10, and that usually consists of some coffee, some bread, toast. Personally, my breakfast always consists of some coffee and some fresh bread and marmalade or jelly. And I am really enjoying that right now, and it's so delicious. But where it's most different is when you are going to lunch. So in the United States, look at the awesome view of the mountains if you can get it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Anyways, so in the United States, lunch is kind of the meal to get you through the rest of the day. It doesn't you don't eat the largest meal of the day at lunch. That's for supper. That is very weird here in Chile. In Chile, you have lunch, and your lunch is like supper in the lunch is like supper in the United States here. And for lunch, it's usually everybody's home. Everybody comes home for lunch, and you eat it as a family, and it's the biggest meal of the day, and it's delicious. Oh my goodness, some of the food I've had here for lunch in Chile has just been amazing, and oh my goodness, it's just great. And then and lunch usually doesn't start until about 1:30, maybe even 2:30, depending on the family. But it's not like in the States where it's usually between 11 and noon when it starts. It's always a little bit later than that, and which has been a little bit different to get accustomed to, but it's been okay. And then you get into supper. Supper here in Chile is usually around 8. At least with my family it is. And supper is nothing like the United States. Supper is the meal that just kind of gets you through the rest of the day that you're doing. And it's honestly, it's something small. It's like a cake, or it's like, my family likes to have like cheese and maybe a beer or something like that. And it's very small, and it just kind of gets you to coast the rest of the way through the night. And oh my goodness, it's still delicious. Everything here is so delicious. The food is amazing, and I can't complain at all because it's just that good. But yeah, that pretty much does it for food. And next we are gonna talk about greeting everybody. So here we go. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is greeting everybody. So in the United States, you can pretty much get away with walking into a room and saying, "Hey everybody," or maybe just saying hi to every person just verbally and saying, "Hey, what's up?" And that's pretty much how you greet everybody. Here in Linares, here in Chile, it's not so easy. Everything is more personal here. You walk into a room and say there's a bunch of people, and you have to shake everybody's hand. If it's male to male, you shake their hand. If it's male to female, you give each other a kiss on the right cheek. If it is female to female, you give each other a kiss on the right cheek. And if you don't do that, there's not necessarily a big problem, but people can get offended because that's just how you greet people here in Chile. It's not so informal as in the United States, where you can just say, "Hey everybody," and there it is. And then when you leave a room, it's the same way. You can't just say, "Oh, see everybody, good to see you." No, you say goodbye to each and every person. And honestly, at first it was very tough getting accustomed to that. And honestly, I'm still getting accustomed to it. It's still a little different for me, but I love it. it's awesome because then every single time you enter a room, you establish a relationship with that person in the room, and you're on talking terms. You catch up with everybody, you get to talk to everybody, and it's awesome. I honestly love it. And then you get to also say goodbye to everybody, and it's not so informal as in the United States. It's very formal here, and I love it. And it's something that I've been really, really enjoying. So there's that. Parties. Much like many of the things here in Chile, parties also are much later than in the United States. Some of the friends that I've made here in the first couple of weeks of being in Chile invited me to a party this past Saturday, and I was assuming it'd be a little later because that's what I had been told, but I didn't know how much later. And I asked them, okay, well, what time do we go out? And they said, well, we'll pick you up around 10. Party starts at midnight. Probably goes until about 4 a.m. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Nightlife is the life here in Chile. And I guess just to put it shortly and to put it simply, parties run from about midnight to 4 a.m. here. And it's a great time, and what the parties consist of is also different. I went to a birthday party, but parties in general and bar scenes in general here have a lot of dancing, a lot of discotheque music, kind of music, and things like that. And it's really cool to experience. And yeah, so that's another cool, very, very neat cultural difference. The last cultural difference I want to talk about is the language. And obviously the language is different here than in the United States. But what I want to talk about is how different Chilean Spanish is from all other Spanish. Something that I was told, partly joking, partly serious, when I got here was, you can pretty much forget all the Spanish that you learned in the States and start over here because it's so much different. And I've been learning slowly but surely how true that statement actually is, and how Chilean Spanish really is much, much different here. There are just so many phrases here that are not phrases in other countries, and so many phrases that are in other countries that aren't used here and are a different, specific Chilean-only phrase. A lot of people say that, hola, hola. A lot of people say that they don't speak Spanish, they speak Chileno. And I agree, 100%. It is very, very different. But it's really cool because Chileans take a lot of pride in their language, and I think that is just the coolest thing ever. That is it for this update. Thank you for watching. Que Dios te acompañe hasta que nos vamos a encontrar. God be with you until we meet again. Nos vemos!